we're going to utilize this image in order to do several things. The first thing that we're going to do is we are going to remove this young lady's tattoo right here. So to utilize that, we are going to use the remove tool. So over here at the left hand side, I am going to select the remove tool. The next thing I'm going to do is go up here, and I like to make sure remove all after each stroke is not check marked. Just a FYI, if that is not check marked and you are using this, I'm going to zoom in here, make sure that you realize that if it is not check marked here, that you do have to check mark this in order to get it to actually remove. Okay, if I'm going to be starting and stopping, sometimes I just like to make sure that that is off. Okay, next thing I want to do is I want to edit her necklace in order to remove this little clasp right here. Okay, so it is going to require me to use the remove tool, and then it's also going to require me to use the clone tool in order to replicate this section. So I don't want to do all of this destructively on this layer, so I am going to make sure I have that. I am going to go ahead and click on the clone stamp, and I am going to add a new layer. I'm going to call that necklace, so that this is the layer that I will be putting things on. Okay, I do want to remove it destructively though on the background layer, so I'm going to make sure that I am on the remove tool. I might make this remove tool just a little bit smaller using my left and right bracket, just because I only want this little clasp right here. This kind of looks a little silly, so I'm going to maybe get rid of that, and then check mark it to get rid of it. And so we are going to need to duplicate maybe a section here all the way to here. So in order to do that, I'm going to go back to the necklace layer. I am going to go over here to the clone stamp. And the purpose of this is to kind of show you the clone stamp. I'm going to use the clone stamp tool. I do want to make sure that you go up here and that you sample either current and below or all layers. If you do current layer, okay, if I do current layer and I try to clone something, there's not going to be anything to clone. Okay, so make sure that you are on current and below if it is only what you below, or you could be on all layers. I'm just going to be on all layers for this purpose. Next thing I want to do is I want to find the area that I want to duplicate. So I might start over here. So maybe I want to duplicate these two right here. So I'm going to hover over this section. I'm going to hold my Alt or Option key down, and I'm just simply going to click. What that is going to do is it's going to take an image of that picture, or a picture of that image. I'm saying things in reverse today. Next thing I want to do is maybe angle this. Okay, so I could go over here and I could increase this angle this way, and you can see that that is actually changing the direction downward, or I could change this direction into the negatives where it is actually changing it more for the way that I want. So I'm going to go maybe about right here, and I'm going to click. Okay, and then from over here, maybe I want to actually this time maybe I'll increase my clone stamp, and maybe I want to grab these two. These two, and again, it's going to be up to you. There is not really a right or a wrong. I just want you to utilize and try to do a good job with this cloning stamp. So I'm going to hold my Option key down, again, Alt or Option, and I'm going to click the area that I want to mimic, and then I'm going to go over here. Now, if you notice, I am in the negative, so this time I want it to go the other way, so I'm going to have to go positive. Now I can click and drag, or I could just simply type in like 20 degrees, okay? 20 degrees actually looks pretty good. I think I'm going to have to do one more too after this. So I'm going to click. And again, if I don't like the skin, I can edit this here momentarily. And then I'm going to find one more place. Maybe I want these two right here. So again, I'm going to, maybe these two up here. I'm going to hold the Alt or Option key, find the area that you want to duplicate. And then again, you might have to really rotate that. maybe I need to make that a little bit smaller. Let me make this brush just a little bit smaller because I don't need that much. Okay. And I'm gonna grab this section right here. So sometimes change our minds, which is absolutely fine. So then I have something that looks like that. Okay. And again, if I don't like it, I could Command Z, I could undo it, I could redo it, and then I could go in here. And I usually like to do this with a mask because I'm afraid of making a big mistake. I go in here with maybe a brush, black brush, and I can kind of clean up some of this area, if you needed to. Okay, so that's one option. Now I want to give you other options. Obviously, I'm going to hide this for a minute. I could have gone in here and I could have just selected this area with, let's just do it with the selection brush tool. Make this a little bit smaller, and I'm going to say complete necklace, or I'm just going to say necklace, and I'm going to try generate. And here's the problem, because a lot of times this, especially if I'm just trying to connect something, because I don't want to change it and I don't want to generate a brand new necklace. So I'm trying to just, you know, connect that necklace here. Let's see what happens. It put in a little, you know, it put in something that I didn't want. It's no longer the chain. Even if I go to any of my options, it's putting that in. So again, sometimes if you can't get what you want, sometimes you have to go back old school, and that's what that cloning stamp allows us to do. So I'm going to trash that generative fill, and I'm going to leave that as is. And again, I could clean this up a little bit more. Okay, next thing I want to do in this lesson is I'm going to go up here and I am going to change her eye color. So in order to change her eye color, what I'm going to do is, I'll show you two different ways to do this. Okay, number one, I'm going to go above the necklace and do this. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to grab just my elliptical marquee tool. I'm going to go over this eye. And one thing I want to mention, I'm going to deselect this. I would probably put my feathering at 2 or 3 pixels for this particular image. If this was a closer image, it might be more like 10 or 15. Okay, but I'm going to go with 2 pixels. I just think it makes a nice subtleness on the edges of her iris. Okay, so I'm going to also, in the selection, in the elliptical marquee tool, I'm going to make sure I'm on add to selection. I just like to always usually have add to selection on. Okay, so I'm going to go around her eyes, something like this. And don't worry if it's not perfect, because we can always fix it. That's what masks are for. So next thing I want to do is I want to, I'm going to go down here, make sure I'm on my background layer, and I'm going to hold, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to go to, we'll do, according to our directions, I used hue and saturation, so that's what we'll use. We're going to go to hue and saturation, and I am going to colorize. This is the key. Over here at the right hand side, making sure colorize is on is the key. I'm going to bump up my saturation, and I'm going to go across my colors, and you're going to pick whatever color you want. Okay, maybe I want her eyes to be more green, so I'm going to pick something like this. Now, this automatically puts a mask on here. I do need you to understand that. So everything is hidden except the eyes. I zoom in on this, you can see that I need to clean this up a little bit. So if I go to hit B on the keyboard for brush, and I make sure I hit X so that I am on white, again, white will reveal, okay, or black will hide. Let me undo that. So if I hit X, make sure that black is showing up on top, and I could go around here and I could clean up around her eye. So that is one way of doing it. If you think it's too bright, you can take the saturation down here. You could go in here and change her color, color mode to color. Okay, that might help a little bit too. And you can even change the lightness down if you wanted to, or up. Okay, Make sure it's bright enough that I can see it, because you are going to make a contact sheet, so it is going to be kind of important that I'm able to see it. So it could be purple. I don't care. It could be something that's not really a color. The one thing that you might not like too is the pupils are green as well. So again, utilizing that black brush, I could go in here and kind of clean that up. So you pick, you do you. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we are going to remove her background. So the lovely thing with, again, with the new removing background, we can do it that way, or make sure you are on the background layer, or you could do select subject. We are just going to try remove background. And I'm so impressed by 2026. It's doing such a better job. Last year, it would always leave the section here, and then I had to clean stuff up around the jeans. So, you know, the Firefly is doing a tremendous job on removing. Next thing I want to do is I want to put a new background in here. So we are going to use Generative Fill and add a, so now we're going to go ahead and add a generative background.